I'm John Hall. My middle name is Robert. I did farm at Inglewood Edge. My family now farms the farm at Inglewood Edge, and we've been there since 1947. We've got just short of 2,000 ewes, between 300 and 350 Cheviot ewes. We cross those with an Aberfield, and we keep the ewe lambs, and the Aberfield cross flock will be 700-ish probably, and then the remainder are Beltex and Beltex cross ewes, and we mostly use Beltex tups, but we've diversified a little bit and we have a couple of tuffocks. I'm not sure exactly what the programme cattle-wise will be from now on, but there will be cattle. We know part of it anyway. Nowadays it's just short of 1,000 acres, and it's on a ridge that lies north to south. I would say a third of it points west and 2/3 of it looks east. So it's pretty exposed. It goes up to 1,000 feet, or just slightly over. Nowadays it's entirely grass. None of it's ever been ploughed for, I would think, at least 30 years. So we grow grass, we've kept livestock. At one time we had a very extensive farming outfit. When foot and mouth arrived, we had 520 odd cows and quite a lot of sheep. It was past its zenith then, the 18th of March. But that was the day when most of the things on Inglewood Edge were killed, all the cows. All that year's crop of calves went. The cows were in calf again, you see. They were just a month off calving. It was terrible. It was a very bad time. Most of the sheep were away for the winter. We used to winter a lot of ewes away at that time. And their poor things just got dealt with wherever they were. With 2,000 ewes, just over 120 ewe lambs left, and we had 8 blue bulls left. The cattle were all burnt at home. Sheep were burnt wherever they were. I met a friend of a friend. What he said to me, he said, "Well, Johnny, what's the plan?" And I said, "Plan? What plan?" He said, "Well, are you not thinking it's time you were restocking?" So I began to think about it, and we were using a certain number of Cheviot ewes by that time at Inglewood. I thought, first thing to do is look at when the sale is. I was in time, but only just. Honestly, within a week. I drove to Dingwall, I think on the morning of the sale. So I bought 738 ewes, and I had nowhere to put them. I had nowhere to put them. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do with them, because they couldn't come back to Inglewood then. It was too soon. I rang my cousin's son, and I said, "You don't know where I could winter Cheviot ewes?" He said, "Oh, well," he says, "there's nothing on our hill." So that was it. But I thought it was a bit brave of me, John Hall, buying 738 Cheviot ewes and nowhere to put them. What's happening now is just madness. The Chancellor's done what she's done, so anything I'd arranged years ago would have been pointless. She changed the rules, so you have to change. The food producing system is essential to everybody. It's not something that you make use of like the NHS, as admirable as it is. It's something you have to have every day. I think a lot of things are forgotten. One is that everybody in the world is hungry. I heard the other day there's only one country in the world that's self-sufficient in food. Well, that's dangerous, because we're an expanding population, and the land that's available to grow the food is getting smaller and smaller all the time. I'm a very sentimental, emotional person, but I've always been able to say to myself, you must not let these circumstances break you. You've got to be strong enough to overcome it. You must not let the outside circumstance break your heart, must you? It's just not on. You've got to live your life. You've got responsibilities. I had 2 children and a wife. Most important person, my wife. I met her at school when I was 11 years old. My marrying Mary might have been about the only plan that worked in my life. I've got 2 girls, two grandchildren, both girls, and a great-grandchild, and she's a girl. My biggest achievement. Well, personally, my family. I'm always happy when I'm in company with my family. I stepped back quite simply because I felt that the people that didn't know us would be saying, her father will be telling her, well, I wasn't going to have that. Because there's not many people more capable than Joanne. To me. I wanted her to be the person that did it, yeah. The market and the shows, the agricultural life is very important to the farming community. Rocking up at those 4 or 5 shows and having a social part of it, and you know, it helps to weld the team together, doesn't it? Especially the ones that are where there's maybe an overnight. You meet people, you find out things, you learn things that are useful, but most of all it keeps your mind active, and you can discuss things with somebody that has a different point of view. Well, we've won them all in our time. We've won the Scottish, the Welsh, the English Winter Fair, Expo, and we won Darlington this time. I wouldn't dare go to a show with a pair of lambs. The judge might not like that pair of lambs. You know, we've always gone with 6 or 8 pairs, mostly, something like that. In amongst them, there might be a pair that the judge likes. It's a very unpredictable job, you know. One of my favourite sayings is, show-wise, is, you might know the judge, but you do not know what he'll do. And it's how it is, because, you know, he has to be adaptable. If the sheep he likes are not up to winning, he can't put them up, really, can he? No. I've judged the Welsh summer. I've judged the Royal Show summer. I've judged the Highland Show summer. And I've judged at the Yorkshire Show in summer. I am proud of that. I haven't judged all the sheep shows, but I've judged quite a few of them. Yeah. I like the idea that people ask you to judge. That's a real buzz, you know. I've always felt that if I had to choose, I would choose the sheep. I always wanted a pedigree something, herd, flock. It never happened. And as time went on, I began to think more and more about it being the sheep. We once had a few pedigree Beltex ewes, but the nature of Inglewood Edge is not to breed pedigree sheep because the fields are big. We were breeding sheep, white-faced sheep, initially Dutch Texels. And we were selling sheep in Longtown at that time. And we were winning Longtown Fat Show. I think we won Longtown Fat Show 10 times in a row. But I always had it in my mind, I would like to find out how good our sheep were. So I thought the only way you can really find out is to go out into the world of the show sheep and pitch up against the people who were doing it. In those days, the very first Beltex cross lambs were turning up at Smithfield and places like that. And of course, I mean, I've always been on good terms with my second cousin John, and he was, you know, touting them, so I thought I must try. But the thing about it is, if you're going to show a meat sheep, it's got to be a meat sheep nowadays, hasn't it? You can't go with something that you just draw out of a flock of lambs. It's got to be right for the job. So we began to cross our best ewes, you might say, with the Beltex and keep going that way, because otherwise you don't get there. It's not a half-time job, and you have to persist. On my life, we've never showed a sheep that we didn't breed. That right from the start. We never showed a sheep that we didn't breed. And to my recollection, we've only showed 3 sheep whose mother we didn't breed. I went to Holland with Newton rig, and I saw the Dutch sheep on the side of the canals and on the side of the road as we went round in our bus. And I said to my dad, those are the sort of sheep that you need to breed proper prime lambs. And he was very sceptical. He thought it was something that would never happen, but it did eventually. But in the meantime, I'd met Robin Slade, you see, and he was a Dutch textile man. And we had a lot of trips of Robin Slade formerly, before the Beltex turned up. And then we had both, of course. But in the Beltexes, it's all come about because of Robin Slade. And he was, you know, me and him just got on so well. A lot of people couldn't understand him because he was a very stubborn man and absolutely no flexibility of any sort at all. But he bred the sort of sheep that I liked, and we got along. If you want to breed the very best of prime lambs, there's not too much of an alternative to the Beltex. They just have that conformation, and the killing out percentage will always be top. They don't get fat, more or less. They don't get fat. You get them into show nick without them getting too fat, and with exceptional conformation. They have a bad reputation for lambing, but I must say that nowadays we wouldn't think that lambing is all that much of a difficulty. You don't lamb them outside in weather like this if you want success. They're good at lambing, really. At one time we had quite a lot of short-horn cross-Ayrshire cows, which were very good cows. But as time went on, I developed this interest in these more conformation type of cattle, like the blue and the blonde and so forth. Initially, we used blonde bulls. I had a friend who bred blonde cattle, and for as long as that lasted, we used blonde bulls. And then, of course, the blue hove into sight, and that was it. We were on to the blues then. Just the conformation of the calves. The simplest way to breed a good calf, in my experience, was to put a blue bull on a Limousin cow. I remember Clive Godden. He's a long time in the past. We had one bull from him through a dealer who used to look for cattle for us at one time, and we paid $1,500 for it, and it lived until it was 13 years old. Poor thing went on the fire at foot and mouth, but it was a very good bull. Oh gosh, the proudest moment. The two things that stick out in my mind from my individual point of view is the Blaemire Medal and David Tomlinson Award. They're the two things that I'm personally the proudest of. The Blaemire Medal is for people who are persistent in farming, I think. You know, I suppose it's an award of respect, you know. I've never dreamt of these things at all, but the David Tomlinson one was a surprise. I could not believe it. Well, I'll tell you what's the proudest thing is that the people who work for us, and they come every day and they do it. The whole lot of them. I mean, we've had some tremendous men in my time, and we still have tremendous people. It's difficult to advise somebody to do something which is becoming increasingly undoable. I would tell him to look for something else. First off, you need a lot of money from somewhere. You have to have a capital base that will enable you to kick off. It's not something you can overcome simply with enthusiasm and the desire to do it and the modern word passion. None of those things will enable you to do it. You can't do it. People do it because they've got the money, but they haven't got it from keeping 1,000 ewes and 500 suckler cows, have they?
How do you want to be remembered?
Well, I would like, quite simple, I would like people to think I've made a genuine effort.
Do you believe you have?
Well, unless I've missed something, unless I've misunderstood chunks of my life, I think I have.